You will be a better parent if you start having more fun and creating adventure and experiences with your kids. If you're anything like me, you're probably already ready to kind of give up on this parenting gig. There's no manual, they don't tell you how to do it, and every single new challenge that comes down the pipeline feels so overwhelming. And so then what ends up happening is that we just figure out one day I'll have fun again when my kids are older and I don't have to really worry about trying to figure out how to do life with them. Once they're out of the house, then I'll have time for hobbies and adventure and experiences and fun. But that's an old belief system getting in the way, and we gotta get rid of that belief system and get a new one, because you deserve to have fun and adventure and experiences with your kids right now and give them the best version of yourself possible. I'm here today to let you know that adding more fun and adventure into your life is the best parenting style not talked about on the market. If you're new here, my name is Claire. I am a former teacher turned into a creator who just wants to share some of the best tools and tips I learned from the classroom into your parenting life, because it's done wonders for my parenting. And a big part of that was making sure there was time for recess. So the number one thing that I see most often, and I did it myself, I've got to admit, this is coming from a place of you're not alone, I did this too, is that moms lose themselves in the title of mom, especially as a single mom. As soon as I finalized our separation and was experiencing the first nights away from my baby Bean, I was having a really hard time. I would just numb out. I watched TV, ate a lot of food, and did things that weren't great for my mental or physical health. And so that became the habit. That became what I knew as myself to be. I just sat and watched TV, which was so outside of the norm from where I had once been. So then when I was trying to get things back into place and I would fill out questionnaires or people would ask me questions about my hobbies, I had no idea. I could not tell you one hobby. The only things that came to mind were the things that I had done in like high school and college, and I was far from doing that again. Other things that I would consider were like the physical activities that I had done, which I loved when I was a marathon runner or training for obstacle course races. Those were some of the best times in my 20s and early 30s. But once I became a mom, I just didn't have the same passion or drive. And the only thing that kept coming back front of mind was when I used to jump in my car and spontaneously take a road trip and travel. And I would become completely overwhelmed with the idea of doing that again, because let's face it, once you have children, everything just felt like it was that much more complicated. So then I started thinking about how could I travel more? I did what anyone would do, and I started looking on the internet, and everything about parenting was really centered on a parenting style. There's no parenting manual that was ideal and perfect. I tried them all. I wanted to be a gentle parent. I wanted to be more of a passive parent because I am so uptight and want to control everything. But honestly, a lot of what I found was that parenting manuals and parenting concepts felt a lot like I was still blind trying to lead my children. I needed to figure out something. The truth of the matter is there is so much outside of our control, and so I needed to go back to the experiences that I had in the classroom. Some of the key things that worked really well was that we had a structure in place. We knew what time the day started and we knew what time the day ended. We had everything controlled and managed as far as time went. So we knew how long we were going to be doing certain things, when certain parts of the day started and when other parts of the day ended. And I was responsible for making sure that any assignments that the students did, I also had to grade and return in a timely manner so that I could hit my deadlines and timeline for report cards and progress reports and any assessments that were coming up. So when I looked at that from a parenting standpoint, I thought, how can I draw that into what I really want to do, which is travel? And I realized that one of the best things I could do was to systematize the travel. And I didn't want to start broad. I wanted to start really narrow and do things in a safety net. I started locally. But even still, I wanted to control things that just weren't controllable. But instead, I was able to realize the things that I can control and the things that I can at least try to put into place would help us to have more fun and really build up our resiliency muscles and getting out of our house and doing things. Honest, after the pandemic, I was really kind of homebound and happy to be there. So it felt like I was having to relearn how to get up, pack up, and get out of the house in a safe, secure, fun, adventurous way. And so since we started practicing that, and I realized that there's not really a parenting manual that covers this, I created one of my own, a manual intending to help parents teach their children the values of their family, how to use their time and money in a valuable way by creating adventures and fun and travel with their kids. And the beautiful thing that happened was, as we were practicing this, I was building my self-esteem. I was bonding more and connecting more with my kids, and I was literally having more fun. So I was a more fun human. I was more fun for my kids. I was more fun for myself, and I was more fun in the other experiences that I was having in my life with or without my children. And one of the big takeaways that I had was that when I was stressed and overwhelmed and feeling all of the feelings about, I don't even have hobbies, I don't even have fun, I don't have time for fun, I don't have money for fun, I would get triggered so easily, and then my inner child would be parenting my kids. Then no one was parenting well. There was a lot of that, So what I found is that parenting is so much simpler when you are having fun, when you are enjoying the experiences that you're creating for you and your family, especially when they are based on your set of values. The 4 things that I want you to do to get started right now having more fun with your family are pretty simple and straightforward, but profound in that if you start today, you can see the difference by the end of the day today. The first one is planning. If you start getting in the habit of planning adventure and fun into your weekends or the end of the school day, then you know that you'll be able to broaden your ability to plan other things, bigger events, bigger activities. Biggest takeaway that I had when I started planning was that if I be in control of these 2 things, everything would be better. It was time management and money management. And I know that really stinks, but it is necessary. I created a free travel blueprint that kind of shows you how we do our planning when we're going on bigger adventures. And it doesn't start the day of. And that's because I learned when I would wait last minute to plan, without fail, something would go wrong. So it starts months and weeks ahead of time, and it's super helpful, and it's what I use every time we travel now. Something that feels like it's counterintuitive is including your kids in the travel planning and travel creation and idea generation. If you find out what they want to do, and if you include aspects of your travel and adventure and experiences in ways that they want to participate, they are going to show up and feel like they're part of it and probably have naturally better behavior because they know that you included them in the planning process. Plus, including them means that you are teaching them how your family listens, communicates, and wants to set up and implement the plans and timelines so that you can have fun and be successful. Number 3 is communicating boundaries. You know that you need to communicate boundaries, but sometimes it feels like we don't know how. So once you start including more travel and adventure, more experiences in with your children, you have that natural conversation around, hey, we're going to this beach. The beach has big waves. You learn how to set boundaries when you're not emotional because you just recognize that like there's certain safety precautions that we have to meet. And I'm going to talk about that with you so we can have an enjoyable experience and be safe. Other ways that I like to incorporate having these boundaries is making sure that we have a conversation about what time we're arriving and what time we're leaving. Communicating emotions so that you can let your kids know, hey, I'm feeling anxious and overwhelmed, XYZ thing's gonna happen or change. Or if they feel anxious or overwhelmed, they're allowed to communicate to you so that you can make a difference in the plans. And number 4, before I say number 4, please make sure to subscribe and let me know in the comments if this was at all helpful. Hitting that subscribe really does help our channel. Number 4, practice, practice, practice. The reason we started locally was because if things went completely awry, we could just go home and reflect and recover. But we had to do it consistently week after week in order to see that we were getting better, what we were missing, what needed to change, what needed to happen. So practice, practice, practice is so important. And the biggest thing I want you to take away is that when you only travel every now and again, every once in a while, it feels like a hot mess because it's chaotic and you're trying to get things into place. But the more you practice, the more it becomes a well-oiled machine because you have your systems in place for getting things packed up, getting things set up, getting things planned. Just know that this isn't something that just happens overnight. We're still practicing ourselves. We're still learning new things, especially when you're traveling with children and they change. Naps change, things change, which means that we continue to practice. I'm not saying that it's going to be an overnight success. I'm saying that if you put in the time and the effort, you and your family will see that you're naturally building some of the best relationship skills just by planning to have fun together. You're probably already doubting that what I had to say is even applicable to you, but don't stress. I got you covered. Come back next week where we'll start talking about the parenting saboteurs that are holding you back from feeling like you are the top-notch parent that I know that you already are. We will focus on stopping parenting sabotage in its tracks.